And then get on the dance floor. Even when it seems we're going through some hard times, what do? Keep smiling, cause we know we're gonna make it now. What is it that can come and take away all your stress? Tell me.
With us, Karla Romero, and she's running for Congress. So we're focusing on Karla Romero and her run for Congress.
Thank you.
Welcome, Karla.
Thank you for having me.
Very, very nice. So we're going to get right into it. And Karla's, we're going to talk a little bit about Karla's background and your education.
Okay. Sure. So, born and raised in Boston, South Bend, Lower Roxbury to be exact. So I attended Suffolk University, where I was pre-law and minor in psychology, and also obtained my master's degree in business management. So what I've done with that was actually start my own business, which was called Urban Exchange Magazine. So I'm no stranger to media. And I also did a nonprofit organization, which is called Mass Appeal International. And we recently just received the Heroes Among Us Award from the Boston Celtics, so we're really excited about that. We've been doing over a decade of community service here in Greater Boston, Massachusetts, and actually worldwide. Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about your magazine?
Sure. It was Urban Exchange Magazine, and it was really interesting. It dealt with everything: cultural, nightlife, entertainment, business, health, and we really took a responsible approach to media and marketing, where we did not do any liquor type of advertisement or tobacco advertisement. We really focused on health and wellness and entrepreneurship within communities of color, and we recognized many years ago that we were more and more becoming a global economy right here in Massachusetts.
Wow. And tell us a little bit about your family, your background, your family.
Yeah, so my family, I'm very lucky to come from a very diverse family. I would say we're the international family. We look like the United Nations.
When you say international,
oh
elaborate
my gosh,
a little bit.
we've got family that from almost all 7 continents. So we've got people who are from Asia, Latin America, the Caribbean. Of course, we have Afrocentric roots, Europe, you name it. So specifically, myself, I probably would be categorized as an Afro-Latina. I'm very proud to be so. I am the daughter of Grace Romero, who was the first Afro-Latina ever elected in the history of Massachusetts. So I have that legacy that's behind me, and I definitely want to continue to make positive changes for Massachusetts. I feel a responsibility and an obligation to do so.
Wow. And so what are you doing right now in terms of occupation?
Right now, I'm running my nonprofit organization, which is called Mass Appeal International. And we do a number of different things, from feeding over 2,000 people a month through our food rescue program. We also have a rapid relief program, which gives relief to people that find themselves in the wake of disasters such as earthquakes, hurricanes, and things of that nature. So here, as well as overseas, we do a number of excellent things in Haiti as well, helping out schools and orphanages there, helping out children with clothing and things of that nature. And when I'm not doing that, I'm a foster parent.
Yeah, it was very interesting. Off camera in the green room, we were talking about you being a foster parent, and you were talking about a foster parent of how many children?
Oh my gosh, I think at this point about 13 children.
13 children?
Yep.
Wow. And what do the ages range from?
I actually specialize in the teenage girls, so high risk. Usually they've been severely sexually abused girls. And I really partner with them and give them some mentorship and guidance. And I'm proud with the girls that I've had, because although they come from really tough backgrounds, and many times they come to me where they don't even think that they have hope, they don't have self-value and self-worth. What I end up doing with them is really pushing them towards higher education. One of the girls that I'm most proud of right now, she's on the dean's list. She's at Salem State College. And I have a number of other girls who have also made it to college as well, doing well.
And so a lot of them, they probably have a lot of psychological problems. And how do you deal with that? Do you get them counseling, or do you do that yourself?
Absolutely. No, we have a whole excellent team. I'm very much involved with the schools and with their counselors, their therapists. It's really important to build a whole family, around these girls. Seeing as how a lot of times they don't come from that family structure. So unfortunately, we have to step in and become a family base for them and a team, a pro team to get behind them and advocate and rally for these girls.
Right, it's very, very important. And so, what about neighborhoods? When you speak of neighborhoods, actually your neighborhood or the surrounding neighborhoods, what do you see in neighborhoods that you like, and what do you see that you dislike, and maybe you could see, and what type of change you think you could bring as a congresswoman?
Well, one of the first things that I love about our neighborhoods is it's just as diverse as I am. And I think there's a richness and a wealth in that diversity. And at this time, I think it's time that we had representation that reflected our neighborhoods. As a woman of color from diverse backgrounds, and as a woman, I can champion those issues for people who come from economically strapped backgrounds and who come from the struggle. I was born and raised in that struggle, and I understand what it takes to succeed here in America. And I want to be that role model and mentor for other young women and people of color. And I want to be that fighter, that leader, and that advocate for our communities to get us more economically, empowered. That's what it really, and education as well. We live in the hub of education here in Massachusetts, and we don't have many people from our communities that are actually attending the universities. Jobs are at an all-time high. We have a $15 trillion deficit that America is facing that we need to definitely bring down. So I definitely have some proposals in the way of that and increasing jobs for Americans here, so that way we can get on the path back to stability. Because what's happening right now is we're seeing, middle-class families are just slipping and slipping, and for people who have been in the impoverished situation are slipping even more so behind. So we've got to do something to take care of,
Yeah, jobs seems to be the big issue. There's no jobs out there for people. And the people who seem to be getting hit the hardest are the Black Afro-Americans and the Latino community. Where is it? The last numbers that I've seen taken by CNN did a survey. It's 27% Afro-American, 26% Latino. Those are pretty high numbers.
Those are high numbers.
Sometimes I often wonder if that's a reflection of the chief of the country, President Barack Obama. When I see that, I see corporate America, is there a squeeze going on? If there is that type of squeeze going on, what could be done in terms of bringing jobs back to the urban setting?
Okay, so there's a number of different things. There's international fair trade that we could explore, specifically with countries such as South Korea, Panama, and Colombia. Just in doing trade with South Korea alone, there's a $10 billion amount of exports that we would do, and that would create about 1 million jobs off of just that alone. And then also I would also look at even the cost of doing business in Massachusetts as an example. We've got the Kraft family that we all love so much, that smart businessman that has our New England Patriots, and he's brought us many victories. We're a city of champions, but when it comes to business, we don't champion in the business realm. It doesn't make economic feasible sense for a business person to do business here because we're taxing them and squeezing them out. So you have someone like Robert Kraft, who also has a box company, who's decided to move it to New Hampshire, where it's a lot more welcoming tax-wise for businesses to do business there. Which means when that box company left, guess what? The jobs did too. So these are some of the things that we need to look at in the way of infrastructure and stabilizing businesses here in Massachusetts. I mean, this is a wonderful economic base, even right here in Cambridge, when you look at the real estate that's here for people to actually come and do business, but it's that tax system that's scaring jobs right away. So those are some of the things I think we might want to look at, is reducing those taxes, and not just for businesses. We want to create those incentives so they can come back. But not only that, but just on the average American, I mean, it's ridiculous. For those who are lucky enough to have jobs, most of your paycheck is like out the window, and you can't afford to keep food on the table or a roof over your head for your families, forget about clothes on your back. So these are some of the things that I would propose in stabilizing our economy, so that we can bring some jobs back and get people back working again.
How do you feel about when you look at the correction system here in Massachusetts? And I at one time worked for the correction system for 9 years as a correction officer.
Yes.
When you look in and you see the faces in there, the dynamics in there, in the makeup, you see majority Afro-Americans, you see Latinos, and you see maybe poor whites.
Yes.
And so, do you think those inmates should have the right to vote?
That's interesting. When we look at so many people that are actually in the prison populations, and we really examine what's happening and why, a lot of people are committing what's called survival crimes. And not to say that I'm someone who is soft or easy on the criminal justice system, but I really think it has a direct correlation with our jobs and the economy. The crimes that are being committed. That's number one. And then number two, definitely people who are in the prison population, of course they have to repay their debt back to society, and it's definitely something that we need to explore a little bit greater at this time. What I will say though, just dealing with legislation and dealing with the prison population and corrections, I actually happen to be championing a piece of legislation. There's 4 bills in the State House right now. I will be there tomorrow and also on the 27th, and I welcome anyone to join us. But the pieces of legislation has to deal with the fact that Massachusetts is #1 for child abuse and neglect in this entire country. In the whole country, we're #1. We're